Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today I am going to tell you about my new function that I just created an hour ago. Before introducing you to my new function, let's find the product of two numbers with r. For example, you are going to find out the product of two numbers, that is 177 and the second number suppose is 56. The product will be like this. Suppose there is another equation 184 into 243. Suppose the product would be like this. What if you want your output like this? That's how my new function's output would be. My new function's name is ar.product, and here you can give two numbers like n1 and n2, and it will give you the output like this. You would be wonder what this ARC mean. A stands for Ali, R stands for Roshan, and C stands for Claude. The C is in the honor of my professor Dr. Claude dePamphilis, because Claude was the one who told me to learn R programming, and today it is due to his suggestion that I am at the stage that I can write complicated functions like this and other functions I have created. I will be telling you about my other functions in my next videos, and inshallah I will also provide you the code of those functions so that you can use those functions in your R as well. So now let's use my function arc.product. So let's try arc.product product. For example, we have a number like 234 and the second number is like 5. So the output would be like this. And the output is just like a manual multiplication. You can confirm the output by multiplying 234 with 5 and see whether the output is equal to this output or not. And you can see that the output of my function is correct. Now let's multiply 234 with a two-digit number. This is my second function, and I will be telling you about this function in my next video. So arc.product, suppose 234 multiplied by 56. So now the output will be a bit different, because now we have included two-digit number here, and this will now first multiply this 234 with 6 and its output will be this one, and then it will add a 0 here and multiply 234 with 5, and after that it will add up these numbers together and will give you the output like this. Now let's confirm the output. 234 multiplied by 56. So the output is correct. Now let me tell you about some other options I have made available in this function. First of all, I will tell you about the option of adding some other symbols here instead of spaces. As you can see that there is an empty space over here. Similar is the case with this one and this one. So now let's add some other symbols here. Write the function arc.product. My first number is suppose this one and my second number is this one, and then for adding other things the option is leading spaces. So for leading spaces you can add, for example, asterisk. Now hit enter. You can see that asterisks have been added instead of spaces over here. You can put whatever symbol you like in front of these numbers. Now let's do some further complicated multiplications. Suppose your first number is this one and your second number is composed of three digits. So the output is like this. What if you want to remove these following zeros with some other symbols? So for that too, I have added an option in the function which is called as following zeros. By default, this following zeros will be 0, but you can change this 0 with other symbols as well. So for example, arc.product 6754. The second number is suppose 234, and following zeros, suppose instead of zeros I want some other symbols, like for example I want dashes instead of zeros. Yes, the output will look like this. Now you have added dashes instead of zeros. Another options I have added to my function are changing these symbols. You can change this symbol as well as this symbol with some other symbols. Now let's change these symbols. To change the multiplication sign, mult symbol is equal to, suppose you want to write something like product, and instead of plus symbol you want to write something like addition. Now the output will be like this. Instead of multiplication sign you have typed character the product, and here instead of plus sign you have added addition. You can use asterisks, percent signs, etc, etc, but the main output will remain the same. This symbol will not affect this. Whether you put here plus sign or multiplication sign, it will do the multiplication. It will not affect the process of the equation. It will just change the symbol here. Another beautiful thing of my function is that you can change these lines as well. Instead of this line you can use asterisks, you can use some letters, you can use some other symbols, etc. Let's change these first line and this second line. Arc.product. This is first line. Suppose you want first line to be made up of asterisks and you want your second line to be made up of is equal to. Now hit enter. As you can see, this first line has been changed to asterisks and the second line has changed to the is equal to signs. You can also change the direction of these numbers, whether you want them to be written in ascending order or descending order. Now as you can see, these numbers have been written in ascending order. You can change it to descending order by making the descending option to true. So arc.product descending is equal to true. Now I have made the descending to true. Now you will see these number in reverse. Now the bigger number will be first and the smaller will be second, and still smaller will be the last number. So you can see here the small number is first and the largest number is last, while here the largest number is first and the smallest is the last. So by changing the descending option to true, you can change the order of these numbers in your output. Now what if you want your output to be in the form of an image, so that you can add that image in your MS Word, or you can just copy that. Although you can also copy this output to your Word, but it will not look as pretty as the image will be looking like. So now if you want this output to be in this area in the image form, I have added another option in my function which is called an image option. So arc.product, and then make the image option to true, and now you will see your output in this area as well. So now hit enter. So this is your output, but it looks very ugly here. To see it in a pretty format, just zoom it. So this is the beautiful output of your multiplication in this image form. Now you can copy this image just by right clicking on this image, and whether you want to save this image or copy this image, so just copy, or you can also save the image. Now I am going to copy this image and then open your MS Word, and here you can paste that image. So here the image is pasted. Now you can crop this extra area from the image. You can also give color to this output image. For example, just add col is equal to, suppose you want a red color, then hit enter. As you can see, this output has changed to red color. Just zoom it and see the beautiful format of this output in red color. Let's change the text size. As you can see, the text size is very small, so it's very thin. I want to increase the size of this text, so I have included an option by text size. Suppose you want to increase it by 2. So now you can see the output is zoomed out, but you can see it has become very cluttered. To beautify it, I have added other options in the function with which you can adjust the spaces between these two lines. So now let's adjust the spaces between the lines so the output become clear. Line spaces, the default size of line spaces is 0.04, so change this 0.04 suppose to 0.06 and see whether the image becomes clear or not. So I'm making it 0.06. Yes, now zoom it. So it has become a little clear now. Now let's increase it a little more, 0.07. So it must be clear by now. Yes, other things are clear, but only this line here is not clear. For this, I have added another option in the equation by which you can move this line up or down. So now let's move this line a little up. For this, I have included options like first line extra space, which is 0, and another is the second line extra space, which is also by default 0. So as you can see, by the default 0 is not working, so let's change it by adding 0.1 or 0.2 to it. So the second line extra space, make it 0.01 suppose. So it's moving up, change it to 0.03. Yes, now the output is clear. Now let's talk about these two options, X position, Y position. As you can see, this equation is in the graph area is shown in the middle almost. It is due to these two options. This 0.5 put this equation on x-axis on the 0.5, while this one put it at 0.9 at y-axis. So now let's change these coordinates to some other coordinates so that you can put your equation on corners like at this corner or on the right corner. So now let's change x position as well as y positions. X position, the default x position is 0.5. Now let's bring it to 0.1 and now see the output. Now this equation has come here, and you can see that a small portion of numbers has been hidden. So change this x position to 0.2 and see then the output. So it's now not hidden and the output is clear. Now let's change its position on a y-axis to move it a little down or up. Y position, the default Y position is 0.9, which is the top of this graph area, so decrease it to like 0.5. Now you can see that your equation is in almost at the bottom of the graph area. So this was all about my new function. Now let me show you the code of this function. Let me first copy this function and let me paste it in Word so that you can see the output clear. This is the whole coding of this function. You can pause your video and then you can copy all this coding. It starts with arc.product is equal to function n1, n2. These are two numbers. This is the image option, whether you want the image to be to appear in the graph area or not. These are the leading spaces. These are following zeros. This is first line symbols, multiplication symbol, second line symbol, and then I have added another option which is plus symbol. If you want to change the by default, this plus symbol is with the plus symbol, and line spaces by default are kept at 0.04. The position is another option. You can play with this position, and color is by default black. You can change it to blue, green, etc. in the graph area. And then X position by default 5, Y position is by default 0.9, and the descending order is false by default. First line extra space is 0, second line extra space is 0, and text size by default is kept at 1. You can change the text size. So this is the whole coding. Now you can pause your video at every step and just write down all this coding. Let me just zoom the coding so that you can see it clearly. So this is the coding. It starts from here and it goes down to the third page, I think. Stop the video and copy and write down this function and write down this coding. This function took me almost 3 hours. So that was all for today. Thank you for watching my video. Inshallah, in my next video, I will introduce you to my new functions. So bye for now.